Dr. Rudy Johnson and his wife Lorraine were approved in May of 1958 to open the field of Peru for the Baptist Bible Fellowship. After deputation and language school, they arrived in Peru on July 6, 1960. During the next 16 years, they established their first church, and out of that church, 15 missions were started, which later became churches. 2 of these churches have had a record attendance of over 2,000. In 1965, the Bible Baptist Seminary was started and is still preparing Christian workers today. In May of 1976, the Johnsons returned to Miami, Florida to begin the Spanish Baptist Bible Institute to train Spanish-speaking people in the U.S. to reach their own for Christ. They also started the Spanish Bible Baptist Church, which is now bilingual and called Global Church and pastored by their son Russell. During the early 80s, they worked with the missions office in Springfield, Missouri. They spent most of their time in missions conferences across the country in 198 churches. During these 3 years, over $6 million were raised for missions. In 1992, Rudy and Lorraine returned to Peru at the request of the Peruvian president and started a new ministry to help more than 200 national pastors and their churches. During this time, he pastored a church across the street from one of the major universities in Lima. They saw the congregation go from 17 to over 400, and a 5-story building was built. On July 5, 2000, God once again did a totally unexpected thing. He called Rudy and Lorraine to one of the most unique cities on earth, Cusco, Peru. They started a church in Cusco and then moved their ministry to Pisac, a city 20 miles away. This is where they opened their camp, Tambo de Gozo. They, along with their team, started a sports ministry in several public schools, a radio broadcast, a bilingual elementary school, and hosted many groups and pastors' conferences for training at the camp, and also had their most successful outreach called Open Doors. They have had over 1,000 on 5 occasions with a high attendance of 1,519.
In October of 2010, Lorraine and I were invited to the first church that we started, which was celebrating their 50th anniversary. There were several highlights during the week, but one of the greatest was they recognized 44 pastors and many of their wives that are out of the church and are now serving around the world. They asked us to cut the cake, and at that time there was a special invitation read from the Congress of Peru that we were to appear there in November.
On November 11, 2010, the Congress of Peru presented the Congressional Medal of Honor to my grandfather, Rudy Johnson. The award stated, "The President of the Council of the Medal of Honor from the Congress of the Republic of Peru. Whereas the Council of the Medal of Honor from the Congress of the Republic of Peru has conferred on this date to Baptist pastor Reverend Rudy Neal Johnson, in recognition of the distinguished pastoral and educational labor carried out over 50 years to benefit the moral, spiritual, and democratic formation of the children, young people, and families of Lima and Cusco."
That night when I got home and was able to sit down and actually read the document, I knew that it would have never been possible if it had not been for my friends and faithful churches who have prayed and given to make all this possible. And so at this time, I want to give this presentation as just a way of saying thanks. And we love you.
The faithfulness of their supporting churches has allowed them to work with 19 BBF couples and 4 single ladies over the past 59 years. God has allowed Rudy and Lorraine to build 50 buildings and today remain debt-free. They have never had an overdraft and never had a need that God did not meet. Today they know of over 300 churches in 3 different countries that are the direct result of your faithfulness and God's blessings. Rudy and Lorraine are eternally thankful for your years of support and God's faithfulness.